Yes. And with that, knowing that, we could call it a day, because that's what we are, sacred love. Thank you, Sakwi. It's always such a joy to have you here. So for the past few weeks, we've been looking at the story of Lazarus. So let me share the entirety of the story. Now, a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village Mary and her sister Martha. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus, Lord, he whom you love is ill. Though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let's go to Judea again. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews who had come to Mary and Martha to console them at the loss of their brother. When Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And Jesus said, where have you laid him? And they said, Lord, come and see. Then Jesus came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. And Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, there's already a stench because he has been dead for 4 days. And Jesus said to her, did I not tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God? So they took away the stone, and Jesus looked upward and said, Father, I thank you for having heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe. When he said this, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in cloth. Jesus said to them, unbind him and let him go. So over the past several weeks, we have followed this blueprint of Lazarus as laid out by Richard and Mary Alice Jaffola in the book, The Lazarus Blueprint. Over the weeks, we have turned away. We have refused that human inclination to pour all of our time, energy, and attention on the perceived dilemma that we have. We've said, no, thank you. We're not going to do that. We're going to try something different this time. And we're going to withdraw our energy from that. Yes, we're going to acknowledge that there's a dilemma in front of us. Real life is happening in this human realm, but we're not going to pour everything about us into that. We are going to remember that universal love source is supporting our good. And we're going to notice those things. And we removed the stone. We stripped away all of those apparent obstacles, all of those things that get in the way of us and our good, us and our seeing our goodness. Things like dead batteries. We move away all of those obstacles, and we set great expectations. We move beyond those thoughts that we have of lack, of limitation, of smallness, of not enough ones, and we stand bold and in our truth. We stand strong in remembering who and what we are. You know, we are beloved of God. We allow our imagination to expand and allow those inspired ideas to take hold of us, and then we bring them into existence. And we shared upfront thanks. Not the gratitude for the things that already happened in our life, but the gratitude of the anticipation and the expectation of more good things happening. Now, when I look around, I see we're all of a certain age. We've had some life lived behind us. And we can all look to see where the goodness is. We can see where those graces and mercies have carried us through life, right? We all have a ton of experiences in life where good things happened. We can see that. And we now give thanks, knowing and trusting that the same goodness that has followed us all along is going to continue to follow us and lead our way even. So we give thanks for the universe supporting us as we move forward. And we issued that strong command. We realized the power of our words. Not just the thoughts and feelings, but putting the energy and vibration of our words out into the universe and let that vibration move. We infused our words with wisdom and understanding and enthusiasm. And today we complete the process of this Lazarus Blueprint and we drop the old role. We may be like Lazarus in following this blueprint. So far in this story, Lazarus has emerged from the tomb. But here he is, all wrapped in bandages, still bound to that idea of death and darkness. We may have overcome many of these times of darkness ourselves. We may have experienced many places of great transformation in life. We may have been in places where we're just realizing the possibilities in what might have seemed impossible, only to find ourselves wrapped in those ideas of bondage that are attached to that story that we tell about our lives over and over and over again. Those stories that we ourselves have become tired of hearing. So imagine about the people that we tell them to. Those stories that, if they were ever true, are true no longer. The kind of that Groundhog Day effect, if you've ever seen that movie, living the same thing over and over and over. Those garments that keep us bound. But we, like Lazarus, finding ourselves in that situation might feel stuck in despair. We might feel ourselves stuck in anger when we look at our world and things that are happening in our world. We might feel fearful of how we might be touched by the activities of the world, and fear of the darkness, fear of the unknown. Thus we reach this final step. And Jesus said to Lazarus and the crowd around him, "Unbind him and let him go." We too must unbind ourselves. We don't have to sit around and wait for somebody to come and tell us it's okay to be big. We don't have to sit around and wait for someone to convince us that we are enough. We can find that in ourselves each and every day by living our unity principle of knowing that we are made in the image and likeness of our source, that we are inherently good, that we are powerful beyond measure, that all of those attributes that are endowed in Jesus the Christ are in us as well. We can unbind ourselves from our past stories, from those beliefs that aren't true, those beliefs that we learned over generation and generation and generation, those beliefs that society has given us. If you're of a certain gender, this is your role. If you're of another gender, this is your role, and never should you walk out of that box of your role. We move beyond what society has taught us about how to look at each other and categorize each other in those many markers that we use to sift and sort people. We move and unbind ourselves from the shoulds and should nots of life and the musts and the must nots of life. And we unbind ourselves from anything that keeps us from living our truth. And that is the bigness of us, the allness of us. We let go of all of that so that we can live freely, so that we can stand in the truth of our divinity. And when we stand securely and strongly in our own divinity, then I can stand and honor the divinity of you and everybody in this planet. I can honor that when I am certain of my own divinity. We can live our true nature. And if you doubt what your true nature is, we just sang it. We are love. We are love. We are made of love, to be loved and to be loving. So if you ever doubt that, just remember the simplicity of it. So when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to think about what is yours to do today. Today you are to be love. And however that shows up, every opportunity that comes to you to love, that's pretty simple, but it's not so easy, is it? And we can live the grandness of all we are meant to be when we unbind ourselves. So it's often with things that sound simple, they're rarely easy. Yet when we can scan the landscape of our life, we can see the end result from our efforts of not to conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of our mind. When in the Genesis story of creation, we were given dominion over the animals. Metaphysically, that means that we are given dominion over our thoughts. The animals represent forming thoughts and already formed thoughts, some that are coming into formation. So those animals represent our thinking. So in essence, we are given dominion over our thinking. We are given charge over the thoughts that we hold and the beliefs that we carry in our heart. You and I are given the ability to be in charge of the thoughts that come and guide our lives. Not only are we given the ability, but dare I say we're given the responsibility to care for those thoughts, to nurture those thoughts, to groom them into thoughts that are of our true nature. Those thoughts that we hold in our conscious mind, and those thoughts that are underneath in our subconscious mind. So let's talk about those subconscious mind. It's estimated that the vast majority of our responses and our movement in the world comes from that subconscious mind, that place that holds all of those memories, all of those early teachings of our lives, the things that we heard, the things that we think we heard. And those young forming minds of our adolescence. That's our subconscious mind. So some of that may be true. Some of that may be misheard. Some of that may be misinterpreted and misunderstood. But that creates the response that we give the world. So in order for us to be in charge of that, it's helpful to know where our thoughts come from, that subconscious mind, so we can nurture those experiences that may feel hurtful, may touch our bruises, may feel painful. We nurture them and love them into something true and healthy and wonderful. We all have those stories and experiences from the time we are born. We are collecting stories that our family share, stories that society teaches us, and what our institutions say is important. Our very young minds collect them. They form our sense of self. They form our place in our family, our place in our community, society, and our place in the greater world. They form our value and our worth. So sometimes we get confused in those stories. Sometimes we have heard not such good stories. So we And it feels important for me to say that what is in my subconscious mind, it's important for me to know that, to know what's in there so that I can heal it, so that I can comfort it, so I can nurture it into divine truth and move then from a place that is of love. It feels important also to say that we can then embrace the truth of our divinity. Embrace it and become it. We can recognize and honor the truth and divinity of each other. And as we nurture and heal that subconscious mind for ourselves, we're able to be present with others as they do the same, by holding space for them, by being love for them. And then this is all of our second unity principle. Our essence is of God. Therefore, we are inherently good. And this is true for everyone, for all of humanity. No one is left out of that principle. No one. That one that we look at and say it's so easy to love them, that one that challenges a little bit, and one that actually pushes us to the wall in finding love for. They are everyone. And just as we have free will to use our worldly inheritance, the things that our parents and aunts and uncles leave behind for us, we are also free to use our divine inheritance. However we choose, we are gifted free will. So how do you use your divine inheritance of goodness? And as we learn what's moving in that subconscious mind, we use that divine inheritance in better ways. So how do we find out what's in us, what's given us those automatic responses to the world? One of the ways that I use, and some of us use this weekend, is the practice of silence. The practice of silence. To sit with ourselves in the silence, to listen and to hear and to feel all that's in us, and that gentle invitation to allow what is ready to be healed, what is ready to be nurtured, what is ready to be made magnificent to rise. And when we practice that silence, we find a safe place. This week, a number of people went to silent retreat, and here's some of the things they had to say about it. Silence was what I really needed. I don't have clear answers, but I do have more guidance. The silence was keenly focused dedication provided by the monks. And another one said, the prayers and songs were captivating and rich with love and devotion. And one said, I was able to sit beneath the places and enjoy contemplative prayer, hearing the voice of spirit and feeling the presence of love around me gave me a strong sense of peace and calm. I felt grounded like I had not in a very long time. In those times of silence, we get to be present to ourselves. It might feel a little bit intimidating at first because we don't gift ourselves much time with ourselves. There are too many distractions. Who has their phone with them today? Leave your phone behind for an hour. Sit in the silence and allow that which is our source, allow that presence that is waiting for us to be present to it. The presence is always there. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour. Gift yourself that to hear and know what's inside of you, what's yearning to be released, unbound, so that you can be free. We also practice mindfulness, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching our world. Listen for just a moment. Listen, and what do you hear? Look around and notice what you see. Open your eyes to the things that you haven't noticed before. When you go out today, when you're walking through your world, take a big, deep breath and notice what you smell. And of course, hear the sounds. You might hear the traffic, but notice what sounds are in the distance. The birds calling early in the morning. And savor the tastes, not just of the food you eat, but the tastes of life and all that it brings. So once we've sat in silence to hear and practiced our mindfulness to be in touch with all aspects of us, we use denials and affirmations to co-create. Now, a denial is not saying that an experience isn't happening or a situation doesn't exist or that nasty cough that I have isn't real. No, those are real life experiences. And we live in this realm of life. We experience everything. It's here. And it's okay. But what we do say with a denial is that this human experience, whatever it is that I'm experienced or troubled by or confused with today, has no power over the truth of who and what I am. If I look at my checkbook and my pile of bills add up to more than what's in my checkbook, that's real life. That's arithmetic. Doesn't get more real than that. And yet, I also acknowledge that I live in a world of infinite abundance. And when I live with that thought, with that affirmation of infinite abundance, I allow the universe to pour to me what I need. And I learn to look for abundance in new places. I learn to look for abundance where I may not have seen it before. That's a simplistic example, but that's how the denials and affirmations work. So we acknowledge there's something that I'm really not thrilled about experiencing it, but here it is. But it doesn't have power over the truth of my existence because I live in a world and a realm that has a power that's much greater. I live in a realm of love, of wisdom, of understanding, and that's the truth. So that's how we use each and every one of our spiritual tools to unbind ourselves. So what are you bound to? What idea or belief binds you today? And are you willing to do as Lazarus did, come out of that tomb and be unbound so that you can be free and so that you can live the fullness of your divinity? Namaste.